So recently, I tried to find out if it is possible to beat New Super Mario Bros. U while permanently crouching, whether the game can be beaten if our only form of movement is hopping. So, as it turns out, that isn't much of a challenge. It's actually surprisingly simple to beat New Super Mario Bros. U without ever standing up. We just take all the shortcuts and play the levels as they're supposed to be played. Only difference, we do it while crouching. But since beating the game crouching isn't much of a challenge, is there something in the game that is? Well, what about the 9 Superstar Road stages? The final and hardest 9 levels in the game. Can those be beaten without ever standing up? Well, today we're going to investigate this eternal question, because today we will finally find out how many of the 9 Star World stages can be beaten while permanently crouching. So you ready? Let's do this! So if we really plan to crouch our way through the Superstar Road, then there are 9 stages that we have to duck hop through. So let's first take a look at what we're up against. First, there is the spine-tingling Spine Coaster, which not only features tons of fuzzies on tracks, but also a deadly and potentially bone-breaking roller coaster ride on a dead bone roller coaster. Next, we make a trip to the desert and face the Run For It level. Here, our towering plumber has to race against the P-switch timer. If we don't hop fast enough, then the floor transforms into shiny yet deadly coins, and we fall into our doom. That one is going to be interesting since we lack the ability to walk and run. Once we leave the hot desert sun behind, it's time for a bath. The Swim For It level would be a relaxing swim through a flooded underwater cave if it wasn't for tons of spiking obstacles and that angry Cheep Chomp that tries to swallow us as a whole. Afterwards, it's time to platform through a frozen glacier cave. I hope Mario's clothes dry up fast enough, because otherwise Mario might catch a cold. All that Mario has to survive here are a couple of icicles that try to impale him while he platforms on top of swinging hammer things and slides on the ice. Business as usual. If we make it out of the hammer swing caverns unimpaled, the spinning platforms of doom are next. This level shouldn't be too bad to hop through. All that we have to do here is to avoid falling off of the spinning platforms of doom while we hop, dodge and swing towards the famous flagpole. The firebar cliffs on the other hand could be a potential problem. Here we face falling donut platforms, bottomless pits, buzzy beetles and most challenging, a lot of rotating, burning sticks. Once we left the firebar cliffs behind, it's time for the fittingly named stage Lakitu Lakitu Lakitu. Here we have to hop below 3 Lakitus while it rains dangerous poking spinies on top of a shifting floor. And then it is time for the one stage that is probably the most difficult when playing upright. The Pendulum Castle. According to Wikipedia, a pendulum is a weight suspended from a pivot so that it can swing freely. And that explains why the stage is so difficult pretty much. The fact that our pendulums are spiked and on top of donut platforms does the rest. Finally, there is the Follow That Shell stage as a last obstacle that is standing between us and a crouching victory. Alright, so that's what we're up against. Before we hop into the different stages, let's first talk about the rules. So the goal is to beat all the levels while permanently holding down. Holding down forces Mario to permanently crouch. While crouching, we can still jump and twirl as usual. The only ability it robs from us is the ability to walk and to run. The only time we're allowed to let go of the crouch button is if we need to enter an upwards pipe, but otherwise the down button has to stay pressed. Since we can't walk, the only option to gain momentum or to reposition us is by hopping. This doesn't change much for standard platforming challenges. As long as the game wants us to jump, we're fine. Where stuff becomes really difficult is whenever the game wants us to position ourselves carefully or to run below obstacles. Additionally, we can't wall jump or ground pound. Ground pounds are activated by pressing down in air, which we always do, and wall jumps simply don't work while ducking. But there is another problem, because as always, our old arch enemy makes an appearance. Slopes. Slopes are once again part of the game and try to ruin our day. Since we permanently press the down button, the game stupidly, wrongfully assumes that we want to slide down as soon as we touch a slope. That's no huge problem when facing normal sloped surfaces, since we usually can just quickly hop upwards. When the main gimmick of a level is something slippery, however, then it becomes a huge problem. Next, let's talk about power-ups. So the problem is the following. If we allow the P acorn or even just the acorn suit, then most of this little silly challenge is no challenge at all. The way the acorn mushroom works would just allow us to fly over all the evil Superstar Road obstacles, even if we permanently hold down the down button. So we have to ban the acorn suit, or the whole challenge doesn't make much sense to begin with. And if we ban the acorn mushroom, we probably should ban all other power-ups as well. So we're going to attempt this only as Small Mario. Finally, we're playing this on the Wii U version and not on the Switch version for the very pragmatic reason that the Wii U version is where my 100% save file lives. So since we're on the Wii U version, we're going to ban the magical platforms as well, since those would allow us to basically cheat each level. Alright, so permanently crouching, Small Mario only, no multiplayer, no power-ups, Superstar Road it is. Let's find out how many stages can be beaten this way. So first, let's get rid of the really easy ones. We can immediately mark the Swim for It stage as cleared for a very simple reason. Pushing down doesn't affect our underwater movement. Since the whole stage takes place underwater, we can play the level in the same way as we would in an upright playthrough, which means that the level is obviously beatable. Hooray! Next we can immediately get rid of the Lakitu 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 stage. This level is almost insultingly easy. There really isn't anything of note going on here. There are 3 Lakitus which are, well, doing their jobs I guess, and a couple of moving platforms, but otherwise there really isn't any threat to Mario's health. As long as we bunny hop somewhat fast through the stage, we should reach the famous flagpole at the end without many troubles. That's 2 stages down. So far, everything is easy. But that's about to change. So, let's talk about the spine-tingling spine coaster. This stage is basically a single, huge, bottomless pit. It features tons of cute fuzzies, and our only chance to make it through alive is this roller coaster. So this stage is a threat to a very important cause, because the dumb roller coaster is a sloped surface. We can't stand still on the stupid skeleton platform. As soon as it tilts even a little bit, we start to slide down. Our only chance to not slide into our doom is by permanently jumping. We need to jump whenever the platform rises, we have to jump whenever it falls, we have to jump over tons of fantastic fuzzies, and worst of all, we have to duck hop below some of our beloved black blobs as well. This makes this roller coaster ride insanely challenging. But even though the stage is hard, it is still beatable without ever standing up. Hooray! That's the 3rd stage down. 6 to go. Next, let's take a look at the Firebar Cliffs. So first things first, this level has no slopes, which makes our lives a lot easier. However, we run into another problem here. There are tons of firebars, which are designed in a way that Mario has to run below them fast. Something we refuse to do for very reasonable reasons. Since we aren't as fast as the game wants us to be, we have to play really well. There are a couple of firebar obstacles that just require perfect execution on our part. Usually we could just damage boost past the obstacles, especially since there are more than enough yum yum mushrooms hidden throughout the level. But eating plumber growth accelerating mushrooms is something we refuse to do today. This makes this level very challenging. There isn't one specific part that is the problem. There are just many very difficult parts back to back. All of them can be beaten, but making it through all of those parts flawlessly with just a single life is surprisingly difficult. Nevertheless, the stage can be crouched through. Another stage down. We're making really good progress here. Let's take a look at the spinning platforms of Doom. This stage would be quite easy if it weren't for 2 problems. First, the beginning of the stage is basically an auto-scroller. The first 30 seconds we're forced to platform on top of a spinning platform. Doing this repeatedly becomes really tedious quickly, mainly because the platform is a slope. So whenever we die here, we have to chaotically platform on top of this slippery, rotating platform again. That makes dying in the later parts of the stage really punishing. And then there is this part. Here we have to platform through a boo ring onto a new rotating platform, which of course is sloped again. And then we have to duck hop forward while avoiding that deadly boos above us. Landing on the platform without touching a boo is surprisingly difficult. So this stage is beatable, but this single jump killed me over 30 times. It doesn't even look that difficult, it's just, I don't know. As it turns out, it's really difficult to land on top of a rotating slippery platform that lives inside a boo ring. Anyway, another stage down, only 4 to go. Luckily, we can immediately remove another one of those 4 stages. The Follow the Shell level is basically free. That's the very final level of the game, and it isn't designed to be difficult, but to be a nice send-off for the player. It's just a quick and fun level without many threats to Mario's health. It's a good send-off and an easy win while crouching. Hooray! And thus, we're left with 3 levels. Okay, the Hammer Swing Caverns. So the good news first, the ice here actually helps us. We aren't able to walk, but we're still able to slide. This makes it easier to position Mario precisely, since we can always slide to where we want to be, and then cancel our momentum by a quick hop. So that were the good news. The bad news? Who would have guessed it? Those stupid swinging hammers are slopes, meaning we always have to hop as soon as we land. There are tons of those nasty hammer slope obstacles in this stage, all of them above pits without a bottom, meaning that if we slide off of them, we effectively murdered Mario. But the real threat to our run aren't the swinging hammers, but the icicles. Those nasty icicles. The whole cave here tries to kill us by dropping impaling and sharp ice obstacles onto our beloved crouching plumber. Those criminally dangerous things are everywhere. The worst part is this one. Here we find ourselves hopping on top of a sliding, swinging killer platform while the icicles drop down in such a way that it is almost impossible to dodge them. Since we always have to gain height to stop the sliding, we always jump directly into the rogue icicles. I got stuck at this part for dozens of lives, but with a lot of patience and a good portion of luck, it is possible to hop through the cave. Hooray! Now there are only 2 stages standing between us and a crouching victory. And those 2 stages are by far the biggest threat to our run. One, because the level is insanely difficult, and one, because the level is extremely dumb. Let's start with the dumb one, the run for it stage. So here we have to raise a P-switch timer. At first glance, this sounds horrible, but as it turns out, there is actually enough time to easily hit all the P-switches, even if we crouch hop. All P-switches, but the last one. We can't hit the last P-switch, not because we aren't fast enough, but because we can't reach it. We're meant to wall jump in order to get up there. Sadly, wall jumping isn't part of our moveset today, so there's no way for us to reach the final P-switch. And there is no way for us to make it to the famous flagpole without hitting the P-switch. So we're stuck here. There's just nothing we can do. We simply can't reach the necessary P-switch because we simply can't wall jump. It's really a pity, but our journey ends here. Or at least, that's what I thought. But then I realized something that might actually allow us to wall jump without letting go of the down button. So we can't wall jump out of a normal jump while holding down. But what if we don't jump normally? What if we jump with a spin jump instead of a normal jump? Because if we spin jump, we're still able to wall jump. So all that we have to do is to make it back to this spot, position ourselves perfectly, and then we spin jump, we wall jump, and Nope. Holy fuzzy. The spin jump doesn't give us enough height. I even tried it as Big Mario just to be sure, but even as Big Mario, we missed the P-switch by a couple of pixels. There is nothing we can do here. If anyone has any ideas, please let me know about them, but for now we can't clear the stage ducking a small Mario. It works if we eat an acorn mushroom, but small Mario is currently impossible. Anyway, one last stage is left for us. If we manage to beat the pendulum castle crouching, then we have at least proven that permanently crouching is possible, even if we need a power-up at one spot. So the pendulum castle is definitely the toughest stage in the game, and it is definitely the hardest crouching challenge I've faced so far. First, we have to make it past tons of deadly pendulums. Then we have to jump off of falling donut platforms in order to progress. Then there is this part where we have to perfectly land on top of a dead spiny before the donut platform drops down. Next there is this very precise part where we have to make it past the poking pendulum very fast, and then, once we survived all those challenges, there is a final threat left. One final obstacle that is separating us from a bunny hopping victory. Here we have to hit a P-switch, then we have to dodge the final pendulum of doom, and then we have to reach the saving exit pipe before the whole floor decides to disappear. That one took me dozens of tries, and reaching this part took me many more. But if we perfectly time our jumps in such a way that the pendulum doesn't murder us, then we're actually able to end this nightmare of a stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the pendulum castle can be beaten while permanently crouching. All Superstar Road stages can be beaten duck hopping. They can be beaten duck hopping without ever getting damaged, but they currently can't be beaten without power-ups because of the dumbest P-switch to ever leave Bowser's factories in the Run For It stage. I'd say that's a victory, even if it is no flawless one. Hooray! So if any one of you wonderful ladies and gentlemen has any idea on how to bypass this dumb P-switch while being small, please let me know about it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and maybe feel especially crouched today and want to hit the subscribe button as well. I hope that all of you have a wonderful day and to see you soon. Goodbye!